G'day team, Jujubear here, welcome back to the channel. Now I played a couple of games with Lord Maur. I kind of pulled the gloves off, jumped back into Total War Rome 2. I've been playing a lot of Overwatch recently, so I thought I'd jump back in and give it a go. Lord Maur is good, he's an excellent player. He picked Egypt and I picked Syracuse. We played 2 games, this is the first of 2. I picked a pretty typical Syracuse army here. I kind of wanted to stick to the basics, you know, get the cav out in the flanks, a couple of, you know, thorax hoplites in the center. So I think I've got 6 thorax hoplites, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. And I got 3 mercenary stand-up warriors up the back. I've also got 4 archers. Oh no, sorry, 2 Balearic slingers for my killing power, and 2 archers just in case my opponent had elephants. And guess what he did? He's got African war elephants. I've also got 2 Tarantine cav right out in the flanks, 3 spears out in the flanks also, and I've got mercenary Italian cav as my cav contingent. My gen is a thorax hoplite there as well. Now my opponent has picked, Lord Maur's picked Tarantine cav and a camel archer as his skirmishing cav. He's got Rhodian slingers in the center and 2 Nubian bowmen, so pretty much mirroring exactly what I have here. He's got Hellenic Royal Guard, 2 pikemen in the center, so pretty strong center there. Can't really come up against them head on. A couple of Levi Threa spears up the back to throw javs. 2 Egyptian cav. He's also got Galatian swordsmen up the back there as well, and a couple of these thorax swordsmen, so 2 of them as well. So not like this is not. I know I'm well aware that this is not the best Egyptian army that you can bring. It's also not the best faction either. But Lord Maur's quite practiced, he's quite a good player, and I feel like this was a good test, you know, getting back into the game. So I've, straight off the bat, I've thrown a spear up the front just to kind of cover this area and push back his Tarantines. I've also got my own Tarantine cav here as well, just in case things go sour. I want to maybe hold on to the Thorea spears and make sure I have enough javelins to deal with his African war elephants, because a lot of my units don't have precursors. Mainly in the form of these thorax hoplites, so I have to watch out and make sure I can use either my archers, my Sam Knight warriors, or my Tarantines or my Thoreus to make sure I can bring those units down, because that's really where the main killing power of my opponent is. Now I'm going to be focus firing his Rhodian slingers in the center, so 2 on 1 each, and I'm gonna send my Italian cav in here. I overcommit on this side of the battlefield, and I'm actually going to get caught up in his Levi Thorea spears. And I'm going to turn around at this point and take on his his Egyptian cav with my mercenary Italian cav and throw in a thorax hoplite just for good measure. I'm going to be able to take that unit out of the fight pretty quickly. I notice over here I had thrown my Italian cav a little bit too far forward, and I'm going to pull out of that engagement and actually slam into the back of this Galatian swordsman just so I can hold him down for a little bit longer to get my own units in here. Tarantine cav, going to have to turn them around and take them out of the fight there. So over here, he's taking his Egyptian cav out. He's lost a lot of those units, but I'm about to lose a lot of my own mercenary Italian cav as well. Over here, I do engage his Galatian swordsman from behind, and I'm going to turn around with my Thorea spears and absolutely pepper this Galatian swordsman in the back with javelins. So finish him off pretty quickly in a very short amount of time. So I actually do lose my my Italian cav, but he's already lost his Egyptian cav on this side. Or did he? No, he didn't. No, it was just me. So it actually didn't work out very well for me out on either flank. The skirmishing engagement's going okay so far. I do have my archers and Balearic slingers up the back. Pull back a little bit too far, and these Balearic slingers are getting focus fired by a number of different units here. So I would say so far Lord Maur's doing a better job than I am of keeping an eye on his skirmishers and his cav, because I've just thrown away pretty much all of my cav straight off the bat, and he's still got quite a bit left. So I'm going to have to make sure I can kind of make amends for this. Thorax hoplite is going to throw them up here, kind of advance my battle lines. My Thorea spears I'm going to try and push back his Tarantines with. I'm starting to make a bit of a push on this side of the battlefield, and I got my Tarantines just kind of threatening his flanks here. So these thorax hoplites pretty much can do the work by themselves. They're pretty excellent units. I just want to make sure that I don't get caught on the pointy end of his Hellenic Royal Guard here. He's starting to throw a lot of his javelins with these Levi Thorea spears. Very good units. Pretty cheap. We've got a little bit of a choke point here. So I'm going to try and hopefully hold it and push through with my Thorax Hoplites. My Thorax Hoplites should be able to do okay against the Thorax Swordsman. If I can push up far enough, I should be alright. He's going to push back my Tarentine Cav and kind of get them caught against the red line here. But I'm going to switch them out for these Mercenary Italian Cav and bring out some Thorax Hoplites to help out. He's going to pull back with his other Egyptian Cav, so he's just started to throw in a lot of his Egyptian Cav so far. And it looks like he's about to lose a fair bit of it. I'm going to swap out one of my 3S Spears and throw in my Mercenary Samnite Warriors. I just get a charge at the last second here. The skirmish engagement's not going excellent. He's going to charge in with his Levy 3S Spears and get into my Samnite Warriors. I'm not too worried about that. Over here, these Egyptian Cav are getting torn to shreds. The fight with my Thorax Hoplite against these Thorax Swordsmen is actually going quite well. My units are in... I popped them into Hoplite walls, so they get a really dense formation, and these Tarentine Cavs are firing into the flanks of the Thorax Swordsman. That's going to help out really well. These Samnite Warriors getting a good engagement with the Galatian Swordsman. This is pretty bad. I'm going to have to pull back my units at some point after I finished it with these Levy 3S Spears. But look what my opponent's doing with his African War Elephants. He's just sent them in. My units that did have the precursor jabs are now engaged, and I don't really have a whole lot to deal with him back here. My 3S Spears are all the way out on this flank somewhere. Here they are. And I've only got a couple of archers left in the field. I'm desperately trying to click attack orders. I got one over here and one over here. And both of them are going to start firing on the enemy African War Elephant pretty soon. I did finish off the cavalry out in this flank, and I'm going to swing around my Thorax Hoplites. Over on this flank, we do have a good engagement against these Thorax Swordsmen. My Samnites should do quite well there. But this is probably where most of the action is. I'm pretty worried at this point, just because my units are doing this kind of thing, like bugging out, and my Thorax Hoplite general is just starting to take a bit of heat from the enemy African War Elephant. But I do manage to kind of settle down my units a little bit and start firing in on these African War Elephants, and it's going to go quite well if I can keep up sustained fire. These Thorax Hoplites are going to be starting to get into the fight. My Tarentine Cav are actually out of javelins at the point, so I wasn't really paying attention too much to how much javelins I was using on different units. So at this point, I'm going to use my Tarentine Cav to get into my enemy's back lines and take out some of these skirmishes, because they've been enough of a pain already. Out in this flank, Samnites are already taking out the Galatian Swordsman. African War Elephants still causing me problems. Haven't lost a man yet. They've already got 242 kills, so desperate to try and take those units out of the fight. He's going to push me back with his cheap Levy 3S Spears. This is not good. I have to get around the flank somehow. Egyptian Cav getting into the fight here. And these African War Elephants are going to start bearing down on my Samnite Warriors, and they're already starting to fail here, just because they're surrounded by so many enemy units. These 3S Spears getting a good jab toss into the back of these Thorax Swordsmen. They should really be over here firing to the African War Elephants, but it's not to be. Hopefully very soon. Thorax Hoplite is getting poked up real good by these pikemen, and the Rhodian Slinger is actually shooting to their back, so excellent move from Lord Maur here. Levy 3S Spears coming back in the fight. These Samnite Warriors I've swapped out to defeat them. And these Hellenic Royal Guard, I'm making sure I can use my skirmishes just to pick that unit off. But he is bringing some Tarentine Cav in. I was aware that this was the only unit left on the field that I could kind of defend my skirmishes with, so I'm going to turn them about and charge into his Tarentine Cav, take them head on, and just split up my skirmishes here and fire into this unit. His African War Elephants are still continuing their path of destruction here. They're going to slam into another unit of Thorax Hoplites. At this point, I've got my 3S Spears on the case. I'm going to turn them around and start throwing some javelins. It's a little bit too late. I've taken a lot of damage, but I do have a lot of skirmishes and infantry left in the field. These Hellenic Royal Guard are finally starting to drop after the sustained pressure from my units. These Samnite Warriors finished off the Levy 3S Spears. I can get them back into the fight. And finally, getting some javelins in on these African War Elephants, what I should have been doing from the start of the match here. And they're starting to drop like flies, down to 6 men, or 3 units. So finally, getting rid of those units. He does send his Camel Archers in here just to get a couple of kills on these 3 spears and stop them firing for a couple of seconds. They do stabilize. And there's only like 2 African war elephants left, so they are running amok at this point, so they're pretty much not a threat. Now it's going to be a little bit of a cat and mouse, trying to get into the flanks or the rear of these pikemen. The combat's very slow once you start to get to the end of the fight with pikemen here. And we do have these Sand Knight warriors hacking their way through a number of different slinger units, so it was actually a really close fight. What I felt was a close fight. He did use his elephants very well, but I think I was able to get some skirmishes on his elephants at the right time there. How many kills in the end? Holy shit, almost 400. That is stupid. And they're gonna wreck their last victim there in the form of those 3 spears. So the rest of the battle is pretty much me just surrounding and destroying what's left of his pikemen. Hellenic Royal Guard actually doing quite well. How many kills we get? 156. 76 on the other one. I think I threw away my skirmishes and I threw away my cav a little bit too easy there. And Lord Maur used his cav and his skirmishes to good effect, but his infantry was just not... It was just kind of lacking so much that I was able to flank him and get into his back lines and that kind of thing. So I think the Tarentine cav pretty much MVPs for me at least. It's a costly victory for Jujubear. So we're actually both in the same clan now. I love the fact that so many different people that I used to play with are now in the same clan. So Ziva is kind of like a love child of AVA and Zeal clan. Let me know what you guys think about that, because I'm actually really enjoying the switch up here. So Tarentine Cav getting a lot of kills, doing a great job. Balearic Slingers also doing well. My Swordsman doing well. 3 Spears getting kills on their elephants. Triple XP Chevrons. Then the other one getting like 209. That's insane. I can't remember what I was firing at there. But Lord Maur getting an insane amount of kills on his African War Elephants. 381. 213 on his Hellenic Royal Guard. And all of his other units doing well. The Radiant Slingers and his Nubian Bowmen just absolutely tearing me a new one. Really did not deal with those units. I have to kind of like pick up another tactic of how I deal with enemy skirmishes, because it seems that I've pretty much forgotten. But anyway, we got another game coming up with Lord Maur in the next video, so stay tuned for that one. We'll see if Lord Maur can kind of get some revenge on me. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Jujubear signing out. Peace.